God had blessed this young chapel ministry with a number of faithful pastors who would later transition on to new positions in academia. Richard Balgi faithfully served as chapel's campus pastor from 1964 until 1971. He played no small part in reestablishing the campus ministry. Witty with a unique sense of humor and charm about him, he had an endearing personality as well. In 1971, he took a call to teach church history and preaching at Wisconsin Lutheran Seminary in Mequon. Wayne Schmidt was serving at Luther High School in Onalaska, Wisconsin, when he was called in 1971 to be chapel's next campus pastor. Schmidt, a gifted musician, had earlier performed the dedicatory recital on the chapel's new organ, and he also became chapel's choir director. A jack of all trades, Schmidt would sometimes conduct the entire service, sermon, liturgy, and even organ, when the organist was unavailable. During the years of Schmidt's pastorate, students continued to get involved in a variety of ways. The origin of the House Fellow program dates back to about this time. One student, the House Fellow, would be permitted to live and park at the chapel for free. In exchange, they would oversee the building on a daily basis. Schmidt's tenure at chapel came to an end in 1975. He received a call to teach at Concordia Seminary, St. Louis, and he accepted. Paul Kelm, a mission pastor in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, accepted the call then to be chapel's next campus pastor. During his ministry at chapel, Kelm strove to embed in his students a love for evangelism and confidence in carrying it out. This focus benefits not only the faithful student, but also about the student who's never heard of Christ before. How many students back then came to know of their Savior through an invitation from one of their own? Perhaps it started as just a simple invitation to come and eat a meal at chapel, or to come there and study, hang out, or to attend one of their worship services. Perhaps God used these simple invitations of these students, and that would ultimately be what led, in the end, to a confession of faith. Only the Lord knows how many students came to faith back then through these simple invitations. In May of 1979, Kelm left the chapel to serve as professor of theology and history at Wisconsin Lutheran College in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Tom Trapp, Pastor Paul Kelm's successor, was installed as chapel's fourth campus pastor in October of 1979. He graduated from Wisconsin Lutheran Seminary in 1975, and he was assigned to serve 3 congregations scattered between northern Wisconsin and Michigan's Upper Peninsula. One of the 3 ministries under Trapp's care at that time was the University Chapel, a ministry in Houghton, Michigan, that served students attending Michigan Tech. In an interesting coincidence, former chapel campus pastor Richard Balgi served as one of Trapp's seminary professors shortly after leaving chapel. Pastor Balgi, now Professor Balgi, noted that Tom had a special gift for getting people to pull together. He was a motivator, utilizer, organizer, expediter. A chapel alum and member had kind remarks to share of Pastor Trapp. I think his best quality to me was that he was a tireless supporter of campus ministry, and he wasn't afraid to put himself out there to share the gospel with others, as well as coming up with different ways to try and get people involved at chapel. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be as involved in the chapel as I was at that time. He was a good champion of helping people to get involved with the church and to get them out of their comfort zones. For example, we had invitation Saturdays at least once every semester. So that was where we could go to the houses or dorms where we knew there were WELS students, and we would knock on the door and invite them to come to chapel. That's not something I would do on my own, but being part of a group with other Christian college students, and again, being supported or pushed, if you will, by Pastor Trapp, that's why a lot of that happened. Because he was willing to put himself out there to do things in different ways, to get students to want to do things at chapel. PT's methods served as a good follow-up to that of Pastor Kelm. If Paul Kelm emphasized the equipping of students through instruction and Bible classes to go out and share their faith with confidence, PT's approach put that education into action. You have the tools, now let's actually go out and use them. Though the prospect of door-to-door witnessing and personal invitations can be daunting for even the most rooted Christians, PT led by example. His willingness to put himself out there in gospel ministry and to be bold in his personal faith and witness showed the students under his care that they too could confidently go and do the same on campus. During the 1970s and 1980s, the chapel had developed its own resident congregation of non-students, people who lived in Madison who simply enjoyed worshiping in a campus ministry setting and who desired to make the chapel their church home. By 1976, there were 79 of these communicant members. From former UW-Madison students who remained in Madison post-graduation to other WELS members of Madison, the chapel contained a good number of local townspeople who called this ministry their church home. During this time of congregational growth, the chapel remained committed to campus ministry as its first mission and focus. The chapel's constitution states, "This congregation is committed to serving the WELS campus ministry in Madison. Our central purpose is to serve the spiritual needs of our WELS students who are away from their home congregations and attend local Madison schools." Chapel's most significant item of historical note from the 1980s would certainly have to be the establishment of an international ministry. A notable percentage of UW-Madison's enrollment was international students, and a good number of them lived in the same vicinity, a housing complex called Eagle Heights, located in the north central part of campus. This international ministry, which became an impressive operation, actually had very humble beginnings. In 1983, Pastor Trapp was contacted by a woman living at Eagle Heights, requesting somebody to come and reach out to the international students in the form of an international Sunday school. This is Pastor Trapp speaking. "I assumed we'd have 10 or 15 children for IVBS because that's what the International Sunday School was. But 40-something children showed up, so we had to quick hustle up materials and teachers. And then I said, well, since we've got this type of response, let's line this up better. So I started getting the best teachers because I knew if you gave the children the best, the numbers were going to come back. The numbers went up to 80 and then 120. While International Vacation Bible School and International Sunday School appealed mostly to children, these free classes gave Chapel a means of reaching out to the parents of international students. These ESL sessions served as a bridge for Chapel to share the gospel of Christ with all nations. This new arm of ministry gave collegiates golden opportunities to go and make disciples of all nations, as college students taught many of these classes. As has been the case over all of the past decades, you see it here now again too. The chapel continued to be a wonderful place, a sanctuary for Lutheran students to come and gather on campus. And in turn, these Lutheran students were tremendous witnesses and tremendous contributors to the mission of the chapel as well. So Rich, from your several years of working at the chapel, what would be one of your favorite memories that stood out to you during your time there?
That's tough I certainly can't pick just one. I was blessed for many years to work in so many different music settings with so many just amazing musicians serving their Lord with music. Some of my favorite were the very last Wednesday worship or the very last Vespers of the spring semester. The music would just be me and whichever other staff were musically inclined. I think, Pastor, you and I got to do one of those. I remember Pastor Billets and I did some of those. So those were always a blessing.
Wonderful.